Borrowing or having good debt is a good way to actually live a life that you would have waited so long to actually achieve. But we have a difference between bad debts and good debts, and that's the reason why you need to be very careful when you are borrowing, and you need to categorize your debts and your loans in the right category. That's why I decided today we are going to learn some of these good debts or some of these ways you can be able to maximize on borrowing or having loans to grow yourself. Hi guys, welcome again to another episode of Financial Literacy. My name is Jane Dishu and I'm a financial advisor. Thank you so much for all of you who have been supporting my content. If you are new here, remember to subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like, comment, and also share, and turn on the notification bell so that anytime I post this content, you will be notified. The first way you can be able to grow yourself using debt is by growing your business. Guys, I did not say starting your business. I'm not a believer of starting a business from scratch and getting a loan immediately, but I'm a believer of borrowing when you have an existing idea or you have tried to run this business. So some of these examples that where you can be able to successfully borrow is maybe, for example, you were operating an online store and maybe you are getting so many orders which require you maybe to have a physical shop or maybe a production center. So at that particular point, you might need maybe a shop and you might need maybe to borrow or something close to that. Another way is where maybe your supply, you cannot be able to meet the demands you're getting with your own supply. And in this case, you need maybe to overproduce or you need to make more of this production so that you can be able to supply to your demand. So at this particular point, you can borrow because you already have an existing market. Another way is maybe because you have a tool that you know, if I'm going maybe to establish this tool, maybe having a website or maybe having to shoot your content with a better camera or something close to that, you're going maybe to get more views or you're going to get maybe more sales through that platform, and at the end of the day your business is going to grow. So at this particular point, you can be able to use loan to invest in your small business so that you can increase in your sales. I don't recommend you just starting from scratch and going in with a loan, because some of the consideration that you need to make when you're thinking of taking a loan to put to invest that money in your business is you have to make sure the profit that you're making from that investment or that growth in your business can actually cover the interest on the loan, and you can be able to actually pay off the loan without having to struggle. Because I have seen a scenario where people don't even calculate the amount of money that will be going to the interest. And if you compared that particular person saving that amount of money and maybe just waiting, doing the delayed gratification for maybe 2 or 3, 4, 5 months, they could have gotten that money and avoid the unnecessary interest on loans, and their business could be able to grow. Another way you can be able to borrow when it comes to business is in case maybe there's a new technology and you had not planned for it, and you know if you implement that technology in your business, you're going to get an upper hand in making profit before the market is saturated. So at the end of the day, you're going to maybe borrow to make that investment and to be the first person maybe for that invention. So one of the things when it comes to that scenario, you have also to make sure that that new technology or that new marketing skill will be helpful to you and can be able to grow the profit margin, while you'll be able to repay off the loans. The second way you can grow yourself is home ownership. So we have two different ways that you can be able maybe to get loans, or you can be able to borrow when it comes to home ownership. And the first way is the famous mortgage way. So I'm going to mention the two ways because I feel they cater for two categories of people. So for the mortgage people, one of the consideration when it comes to a mortgage, you must have like a stable source of income. So in most of the cases, this applies for those people who are employed or someone who have a fixed source of income, because they know that their job is quite secure and they can be able to get those repayments at a particular period of time. Disclaimer, if you're running a business, a mortgage needs you to have a very calculated move, and you need to have planned and even decided on how your business patterns run, because I know the instability of income, I know the instability of maybe contract jobs, and such things. So for mortgage, most of the time you'll be required to have a fixed income. It's quite easy for you to repay. Some of the considerations that you need to consider by the time you're getting a mortgage is you might need to give like a down payment, or maybe what we call the deposit. The down payment will surely determine like maybe how long you're going to be given to repay that particular loan. So you need also to plan. And I have seen some few people make mistakes of, you go maybe to your bank, you borrow a down payment, and then on top you get a mortgage. Remember, you're going to service 2 loans. So I usually recommend save for your first down payment. It usually give you a strategy on how you can be able to balance on paying off that loan. Because if you were from a saving plan, the amount of money that you were saving in that saving plan to raise your down payment is the similar amount, or you're just going to add a small amount to repay that particular loan. So I usually advocate you don't get a loan for your down payment. Actually make sure that you save. It's easy for you. Another thing you need to consider when it comes to a mortgage, you need to consider the term period. So if you can be able to give a lot of money as down payment, it's going now to give you maybe a lesser period of time to choose from, and also the amount of money you are going to pay.
I noted the video was so long explaining the mortgage, so I decided to upload it as part 2, and I have already uploaded the part 2, more details on the mortgage, so get to watch here.
The business community is asking, first, do we have to get loan for the home ownership? And definitely yes. So we have the Sacco Society, where you can be able to get a loan, and you can be able maybe to build a home for yourself, or you can be able actually to maybe even buy a house. So one of the consideration and why I would go for a Sacco rather than going for a mortgage when I'm running a business, or maybe I have an inconsistent source of income, it's because a Sacco Society, you can be able to negotiate the payment terms. Another thing, you can be able to discuss in case you have emergencies, or in case you have some maybe low and high seasons when it comes to your income. In both the scenarios, you're going to be required to do a down payment. So in Sacco, you need to save so that you can get the ×3, the ×5, the times whatever amount of money. Another advantage that a Sacco gives you, it's maybe in case you were doing borrowing and you were doing a project, and just you project that maybe you're having bad business days, you can be able to hold your project, and this means you will be able to control whatever happens when it comes to the loan repayment at the end of the day. Another thing, your house will not be used as a security, so the repossession terms is only the guarantors who are going to be affected. But I'm not saying that you guys should default on your loan Saccos. Whatever I'm saying, you're going to get flexible way of dealing with these loans, and you will not be under pressure. So it is so easy for you to manage. And that's why I really recommend those people who are in businesses, those people who have inconsistent sources of income, those people maybe who have history of bad credit score, and you might not be able to access mortgages, you can try to have a Sacco. One of the things that you need to do is make sure that you have guarantors, make sure that you also have a good plan, so that when the money comes, because a Sacco can give you, some of these Saccos can give you up to 10 million worth of loans. So if you're able to save that amount of money and get the ×4, you save 2.5, get the ×4, you have your 10 million. Make sure that you can be able to project everything, so you don't under borrow, or you don't over borrow, and then at the end of the day, it end up costing yourself. Another thing, you need to also have like a way and a strong way of repaying that loan, because of course, even if the interest is quite affordable, or it's something that that is quite affordable, let me just call it not cheap, but at least affordable interest rate, at the end of the day, you're going to be paying that interest rate. So you also definitely need to have a plan on how you're going to repay it. So even if it's quite flexible, you always need to be on tour, and to make sure that at the end of the day, you're staying afloat, and also you're not affecting your credit score. Another way you can be able to grow yourself using credit is buying properties. So when I'm talking about buying properties, I specifically mean in case you wanted to get this property, or it's something that was in your financial goal, or it's something you had a plan with. I'm not just talking about you had that a property was on sale, or you heard that you can be able to get a property and now you're looking for a loan. I'm talking about something that was on your budget, something you were saving up for, something that was in your financial goals, and something that you wanted to achieve at a particular period of time. So some of these scenarios is maybe in case there are auctions. You guys have seen buildings being auctioned. You have seen a land being auctioned. You have seen even people who travel outside the country trying to sell their properties. You have even seen those people maybe who want to take their kids to school. They want to sell their land maybe very quickly or liquidify very quickly. You can be able to get those properties, like where you see like you can be able to strike a deal, and the loan that you're getting and the interest that you're paying on that loan will be so high from than the discount, or will be lower than the discount that you're going to get at the end of the day by getting a loan to acquire that asset right now. Guys, a disclaimer again, I'm not talking about you had someone was selling their car and it was not in your plan. You had not planned to buy that car, or you had not planned to buy that land, or you had not planned to buy those maybe home appliances or such things, and then you just buy it because you think it's on offer, or you buy it because you think you are making a discount at the end of the day. I'm talking when you have sat down, you really know that I really wanted to buy this car, or I wanted to buy this home, and you see an offer or you see an opportunity where you know I have to grab some amount of money, maybe from a SACCO or from a certain institution, and then at the end of the day I can be able to save a discount from this sale that is happening. The consideration that you want to make at this point is to make sure the interest that you're going to pay on that particular loan will not be so high, or will not vary so high from the discount you will have made from that particular property. What I mean, in case you wanted maybe to save at the end of the year 2.4 million to buy maybe a CX5, and then maybe over a period of 6 months someone is relocating to another country and they are selling their CX5 at maybe, let's say at around maybe 1.5 million. So you see, it's a good deal because at the end of the day you'll have saved 900,000. So even if you got a loan from a SACCO to repay by the time you get to December, you will have made a lot of money from the 900,000. But it will not make sense if the loan that you're getting, you're going to get an interest which is over and above the 900,000. It's better you would have waited until the December you were talking about, rather than just taking a loan and then at the end of the day making a loss. The fourth way you can be able to grow yourself by borrowing is by investment. So I have seen scenarios where we have companies which are giving bids, like for example, the government bonds, and then they are giving a very high discount, and maybe you were planning to invest in bonds that particular year. So let's assume the interest is around 18%, and you know from your SACCO you can get a loan and repay that loan maybe within 6 months or something close to that. So you'll have paid that interest with like around 6%, assuming the interest is 1% per month. So if you can be able to get that 1 million from your loan and invest in those bonds, at the end of the day, it is a worthwhile investment, because considerably at the end of the year, you'll have made 18% and your loan will have grown with 6%. So what I mean when it comes to investment, I don't mean like you guys going to borrow a loan in your SACCO which is giving you 12% and putting that money in a money market fund which is giving you an interest rate which is not actually guaranteed at 13%. That is not a worthwhile investment. But if the difference is around 5% and above, which is the capping of inflation, that is a good deal to go. So if maybe the investment you want to invest in is going to give you a difference of 5% from the interest rate that you're going to repay that loan with, go for that particular investment. But if you're going to get anything less than 5%, I don't recommend you getting a loan to invest in that place. I have talked of you can be able to invest maybe in shares, buying shares if they are on discount, or maybe buying government bonds, or maybe government bills, or maybe if there is an asset that is being sold somewhere, or an investment portfolio that is being sold somewhere, you can be able to invest in. But I don't recommend if the margins between the interest and the interest on loan, or maybe and the interest that you're getting from the investment is not more than 5%, guys. So make sure that you do your calculations well. Make sure at the end of the day you get to understand that you're making more than the 5% and it is a worthwhile investment. Two other things that I have mentioned, and I will mention it again. When it comes to borrowing, you also need to understand after which period of time are you going to start paying off your loan, and after which period of time is your investment going to give you returns. You don't want a scenario where your investment will start giving you returns after maybe 2 years and your loan repayment is next month. It's going not to make sense, because by the time you're getting to 2 years, you have not enjoyed that money. It did not make any financial sense. And let me give you guys an example. I have seen people who borrowed like 100 million, and then they built maybe an apartment, and then they tried to rent it off. And then when we calculate the rent from that apartment, by the time they'll be like getting their money back, their 100 million, it will be like over the next 40 years. And you find this particular person is like 40 years. So in the next 40 years, that will be 80 years. This means they were even setting a generational wealth. It's not them who's going to enjoy from this investment, because I have not even considered the amount of money that goes to interest. So you have to make sure that the investment will be worthwhile, and at the end of the day, you'll be able to enjoy your investment. It doesn't even take the forever part of it. Another thing, make sure you don't also get into investments because everyone is getting into it or you're getting a discount. Make sure it is aligning with your financial goals or your financial aspirations, because I've said time and time again, your savings and investment is a reflection of the kind of a person you want to be in the future. So if you don't align your savings and investment to whatever you want to be, at some point you might fall off and you're going to make losses. One of the things about investment, if you don't wait until the maturity of those investments, you might end up making losses. So you need to be as patient as possible, and you must make sure that the money that you're borrowing, actually the investment that you're making, is a reflection of the life that you want, or the financial goals, or the person you want to be in the future. This video cannot be complete if I don't talk about the car loans, because I know this is one of the things that most people have been borrowing to invest in or to buy. And some of these decisions that we make, sometimes they are emotional, because maybe you were rained on, or maybe you saw your friends maybe having cars, or maybe you were mistreated in a matatu, and just you wake up and say, my salary can support me to have a car, so why not? And then you just go ahead and buy a car. But I want to demystify the ways that you can be able to capitalize on borrowing by getting a car loan, and is it like a worthwhile thing to do with a loan? So one of the things that I would really recommend when it comes to getting a car, if it's a luxury car, I don't recommend you taking an expensive loan. Two, I really would be looking at, like, if I'm getting this loan, am I going to be able, maybe is it going to affect maybe my savings and investment pattern, or my other goals that I wanted to do, or maybe my financial freedom journey, or am I going to be in a financial mess? Another thing, the interest amount that I'm going to pay off, is it worthwhile, or maybe can I give myself a delayed gratification and maybe wait until I get my own car? Another consideration I'm going to ask is, can I be able to successfully maintain this car, or can I be able to successfully maybe be able to fuel? And guys, I did a whole video on how you can be able to buy your first car or second car, and how you can be able to save on the amount of money. So go and listen onto it. I'm going to make sure that I drop the link here so that you can be able to go and learn, and you can know how you can be able to capitalize on getting a loan to buy maybe your car. Two of the ways that I'm not negotiating on, I'm not complaining when you're getting a car loan. In case maybe you were running a farming business, or maybe a transport business, and maybe the amount of money that you have been paying your riders, or the amount of money you have been paying maybe to those lorries and those pickups to just move your produce from your shamba to maybe to the market, maybe they exceed the amount of money you would repay if you got your own car and fueled it. So if that is the case, you're going to be saving a lot when it comes to hiring a vehicle, or when it comes to hiring that lorry or that trailer, or maybe that even that car or pikipiki, just those logistics, if it's something that you're doing for business or something that is going to save you a coin at the end of the day compared to you hiring that particular car or that mode of transport, we are going in, because at the end of the day, if a business having a car, we are going to save something when it comes to business expenses, then that is a good move. Another way, in case maybe where I built my home, in case I'm not paying rent, and maybe where I'm living and I get my job, maybe it's quite a far distance, and the amount of money that I use for fare or for transport exceeds maybe the amount of money that I would be using if I own like a small car, like a Suzuki Alto, or like a small car, or maybe I'm in sales and maybe I move a lot. And if I compare the amount of money that you spend on the logistics and the transport exceeds the amount of money you owning like a small car and fueling it and paying off the loan, it would save you a dime. At the end of the day is to make sure that that car is not actually parked in a 8 to 5 job and it's reducing in value and you're repaying a loan. So sometimes I always tell a client, if you're buying that car, we are weighing the options. Can we first try to save, and then we see if you're getting a loan, will it be worthwhile? Is it something that is going to affect our financial freedom journey, or is this something that we can be able to manage when it comes to our finances? So guys, make sure that you're making the right decision. And I know this is what you were waiting for, to just hear if buying your car is a good debt or something that you can work on. But guys, don't forget to watch that whole video on how you can be able to acquire your first car. I'm very sure that you're going to learn a lot. And in case you would want a personalized session, I do offer that for free. Just come to follow my Instagram page and make sure that you get this session so that you can be able to discuss for free. Because you have stayed to the end of this video, it is actually a good thing to leave some of the tips. I want you guys to know that getting a loan can be very addictive, like betting. So you need to make sure that when you start to borrow, you borrow responsibly and you make sure that you're capitalizing on everything. Another thing, when you're trying to borrow, make sure that you have explored all the options and you're saving a dime at the end of the day. Do not go for those loans which are quite expensive and you have to pay a high interest rate, because it might mess up with your financial goals. The last thing, avoid bad debts as much as possible, because it's going to save you a lot of money. And this bad debt is where you borrow money just to spend, to enjoy yourself and such thing. Make sure that it is something that you can be able to leap from an investment, and it's something that you can be able to afford. And as we said, if you're using the 50-30-20 budgeting rule, and maybe 20% is going to your savings and investment and loan repayment, if whatever loan you want to get is more than the 20%, or maybe half the 20%, do not get that loan, because you cannot be able to afford it. Because at the end of the day, we are not leaving our savings and investment to just concentrate on paying off our loans. So, and another thing, even if you have watched this video and you still feel like you're not a loan person, we always have different money personalities, and it's okay to be a person who saves and invests for them to achieve everything they want in life. And if you're a lone person, do not feel bad that you cannot save and invest to achieve your things. We all have different money personalities and we all have different financial goals. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something, and we are going to make use of the borrowing powers that we have, and we are going to grow ourselves at the end of the day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching.